Let's have trial by combat.
Now it is up to Congress to confront this egregious assault on our democracy. And after this, we're going to walk down, and I'll be there with you. We're going to walk down. We're going to walk down anyone you want, but I think right here, we're going to walk down to the Capitol. And we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women. And we're probably not going to be cheering so much for some of them. Because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength, and you have to be strong.
It's what the Times of India is calling the Ku Klux Klan. Violent white supremacists, some intent on kidnapping and physically harming members of Congress, took over the Capitol building in Washington, D.C., while lawmakers shivered in the gallery in terror. Protesters carried dozens of flex cuffs, handcuffs made of zip ties, intent on arresting members of Congress and holding them hostage. Protesters were even heard to speak of hanging some of them. Many in the D.C. police and the National Guard virtually stepped aside and let them in. Try for a moment to imagine if the protesters had been black. There would have been a lot more police, National Guardsmen, and deaths. As it was, to borrow a phrase, nobody had ever seen anything like it. This was nothing less than an attempted coup d'etat by Donald Trump and the MAGA hat-wearing white supremacist cretins known as his base. This is why Donald Trump must go to prison for the rest of his life. At least, that's what I think. And I present that case to you in the form of a victim impact statement. I hasten to add, I don't mean to claim any special victim significance for myself. I am simply an average American claiming my share of the evil that Donald Trump has visited on every average American. To be sure, some Americans have had a greater share of Donald Trump's evil than others. They deserve their day of justice even more than I. I've taken it upon myself to speak for some of them because some of them cannot speak at all because some of them are dead. But I am outraged by what Donald Trump has done to the land of my birth, how he has dragged its reputation through the mud of racism and cheapened its message of freedom, how hundreds of thousands of Americans have died because of him. For example, by the time he leaves office, more than 400,000 Americans will lie dead of coronavirus, thanks to Donald Trump. They are dead because Donald Trump refused to take any serious steps against the global pandemic. But as if that were not enough, on Wednesday, January 6, 2021, 5 people died and the sanctity of the nation's Capitol building was violated thanks to Trump. The violence was incited by Donald Trump himself at a rally in Washington, D.C. Those deaths resulted from the first riot ever inspired by the President of the United States. Not only could Trump have prevented those deaths, they actually happened directly because of Trump. All of the deaths were Americans. 3 supposedly died from pre-existing medical conditions probably exacerbated by the riots. 1 was shot. 1 was beaten to death with a fire extinguisher. That last one was a police officer named Brian Sicknick. So now, along with his many crimes, including rape and murder, theft and money laundering, fraud and treason, Donald Trump is now a cop killer. Trump refuses to so much as acknowledge Officer Brian Sicknick's death because he is a coward. Because Trump is a coward, he won't even lower the flag on the White House roof to half-staff to honor this man. Flags are lowered all over Washington, except at the White House. What happened on Wednesday happened because this defeated president, this little man, this vindictive, petty, sore loser, gave a speech to an already agitated and provoked group of his supporters where he harangued them for an hour and lied to them shamelessly. Trump told them that the election was stolen from him. He then denounced his own administration's members and party as traitors. Then he told his supporters to storm the nation's capital, where the voting was being held. And so they did, as their leader ordered. They stormed the nation's capital where the voting was being held. Many of Trump's supporters were carrying Confederate flags, and for the first time in American history, the flag of 19th century slaveholding states, carried aloft by an angry mob, entered the Capitol building of the United States of America. Not even a man as talented as Confederate General Robert E. Lee could raise the racist flag of the Confederacy over the city of Washington with 100,000 men at his back. Abraham Lincoln was right when he said, "If destruction be our lot, we must ourselves be its author and finisher." This is why we must change. America as a nation must become a nation of believers in reality, and not a nation of believers in reality television. If we put Donald Trump in prison for the rest of his life, it will send a message to future fascists that America won't tolerate another Donald Trump. If we don't stop this, if we don't put Donald Trump and his enablers and co-conspirators in prison, this kind of thing will continue to happen over and over and over. Donald Trump's personal hateful reign of bigotry, science denialism, lies, and crimes is almost over at last. Even some Republicans have awakened to the idea of how inevitably destructive Trumpism has become, how the logical outcome of everything Trumpism believes is the destruction of America itself. Donald Trump's sinister spell over some Republicans has finally been shaken. The peaceful transition of power was the most important political idea to emerge from the grand experiment called the United States of America, and Donald Trump very nearly destroyed it. Instead, we may have been given a second chance with a new president and a new Congress, rededicated to the idea that all men and all women and all people of all backgrounds and identities truly are created equal. By setting a counterexample so loathsome and so ugly, Donald Trump may have ironically inspired us all to actually make America great again. It is up to us now to make it so. It is up to us to see that justice is finally done.